Did you know service plots are now available at Baki? Welcome to Baki, Taft City's fourth residential estate.
Yes, service plots available at Baki with 3 years interest-free payment plan with a minimum deposit of only $94,000, and it will come with fence plot, water reticulation, electricity, solar street lights, and bituminized internal roads. Are you ready to build your dream home for yourself?
Call us now.
Welcome back. It's coffee time on West Coast Radio. Alhaji Mustapha Njie, aka TAF, some still call him TAF Construction, is our guest. That's a name that I don't think will ever completely go away.
Not at all.
Especially with a certain class of citizens.
That's right.
Just as a follow-on to what we last discussed, working with this particular government. Good morning, Uncle Peter and TAF. Can you ask Uncle TAF if he is trying to work with government to help low-income civil servants get affordable housing mortgage, say 25 years repayment? My dream is still to buy a TAF house. So somebody wanting to buy a TAF house.
Yes. Again, let me go back to history. In 2018, obviously you knew that I was in Nigeria, very big in Nigeria.
Yes.
We're still very big in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But when we had a change of government, because we anticipated that doing business will be easier. New government, everybody looked up to it. So,
it was one of the reasons why we voted the previous government out.
Yeah. And if you remember at TAFCON in 2017 or so, when I said that I am now going to retire, the president said, no, you cannot retire. You must be, you can retire, but you're not tired.
You're not tired yet.
He said so. And so I thought, look, I launched my vision in 2018 to develop 1 million affordable homes throughout the continent of Africa. But there's no better place to start than home. And at the time, I engaged the Social Security and Housing Finance Corporation when Mohamed Majang was the MD. Mm-hmm. We negotiated and signed an MOU to start on affordable housing. So all that you see that I'm doing now in Nigeria and Sierra Leone started here in 2018. But I must say that something is very peculiar about this country. Is that the government doesn't speak with one voice.
Oh dear.
Yes, that is the reality. So when we negotiated, we really negotiated tough under Manjang's leadership with Social Security. They had the land, so I will come in with the expertise, just like what I do outside. But after signing the MOU, the Bureau of Public-Private Partnership from the Ministry of Finance said that it cannot be done, it had to come through them. So in short, it was killed. So the MOU was signed, and till date, nothing is done. So what we should have been doing here, we cannot do it. And we are willing to work with government. That's our expertise these days. We are known for providing affordable housing, as we are currently doing in Sierra Leone, 5,000 units with the government of Sierra Leone, with Nigeria in River State, 20,000 units. And we get called by governments. And we are known for it. We are the biggest affordable housing developer in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. So it's really sad that in the country that had built me up, that made me, I'm a made in the Gambia product. I've said this over and over again. There's nobody who can claim this better than me. It is just sad that we cannot work hand in glove with government to provide affordable housing.
I'm going to read you this next contribution, which will probably lead you to give more information as to what was killed and why it was killed. Ask TAF what happened to the proposed airport city project that his company was said to have been given the go-ahead to build at the beginning of the change of government.
I guess he means the Guy Taft thing,
yes.
Again, Peter, I stopped. Let me again for the records. It was in 1997 that I decided that I am not going into any competitive bidding anymore. And since then, I have never tendered for any job from 1997 to date. So I've built my brand. I've built my business structure at the global level that anywhere I go, I must be invited with my conditions. Obviously, I negotiate, give and take like in any negotiation. So fast track in 2018, when Hassan Fall was appointed as the CEO of Gaipa, I didn't know him from Adam. And so he found out about me. He came to see me at home. and with all the drawings, together with one Momodu Sow, who's still at Gaipa, that look, they've gone around, they want to start this project. By the way, that project, the concept of it started in the Jawara days.
Ah.
Yes. Remember when they said that Gambia was supposed to be the Singapore of West Africa?
Yes.
That's when the concept started. It was the gateway project, trade gateway project under the PP government. So one, they were supposed to do Bond Road and the airport. So Bond Road close to the port, and then the airport obviously for exports.
Yeah.
So fast track government engaged World Bank during the Jame days, and the World Bank invested money. There are 3 parts there. The first part is was fully developed as a sample. There are warehouses and everything there, and the second one was done with basic infrastructure, and the third was a virgin land. So when he came to see me, he said he had gone around really looking for a partner to do this. And that's what was meant to be. That, yes, let government start with these samples at what's done with the first warehouse, and then get a developer, a master developer to develop it. I turned it down. He spoke to me for over 3 hours. Actually, he came just by Takusan when we play Ashri.
Yeah.
He stayed there till Maghrib, trying to convince me just to get involved. And the reason why I said no was from experience. That in this country, again, if they dump everything and you go there and pick it up, people start running after it. And that's my experience. So I thought I was going to, encounter quite a lot of challenges trying to execute this. So, but I gave him my conditions. And he said, yes, we will meet the conditions. So first was that, look, I wanted to be very clear and on record that I am not looking for this job. So he went back, got approval to write to me, and I have all those letters. He wrote to me, inviting me over to come and partner with them in doing this. And because I had successfully executed a public-private partnership in Nigeria, I had the template. So we negotiated for a very long time. And this involved, first, the Minister of Justice, who represent government in all legal transactions.
Sure.
So they were there, we negotiated and then signed an MOU. And then after the MOU, we signed a JVA, joint venture agreement. And it was signed by the state minister at the time of trade. Now, again, some of the things that happened.
Was it Syndicator?
No, no. It was Aissatou Touré at the time. So Aissatou Touré signed it and the documents are there. Now, after that it was signed, when you do such projects, you have to follow a process. And because this was a world-class project, I had to involve international consultants. So I brought SVA, an international planner, master planner, to do the master planning. Then I brought in Demacon to do the feasibility studies and also the market study. And then I brought the engineering company also, I just forgot their name, to do engineering. Because we were trying to make it international, global. So they did all this. And again, consultations were done with all the ministries and departments. We had a workshop with all these consultants, at the Kotu Strand. What's Kotu Strand called now? Sunset.
Okay.
So one day workshop was done to listen to everybody. And then we went on. Now the project was done, agreement signed, and we started. We started the job. Now basically, government was supposed to provide the land, and then we were supposed to raise the finances, but it's a 10-year project. 10 years. So we were responsible for the pre-construction financing, which we did. So a lot of money has been pumped into this project already, which was spent by Africa Global.
The fencing alone is something.
Yeah. The fencing we did. Some warehouses are still lying there, which we brought in. Contracts were signed with the roads. We hired local consultants. Gamex was given a consultancy to do all the engineering investigations. So about 15 boreholes were drilled to do the soil sampling. The topographical survey, the sort of equipment that they use, I couldn't find it in the country. So I brought somebody from Senegal to do it. So it was an international project, nicely designed, and we started marketing it. Now, somehow, when we started receiving so many complaints from different angles. I mean, I don't think there was the good faith in it from the side of government. Different departments now wanted to be part of it, XYZ. But fast track, we got a notice, some 3 years ago to stop the work.
Notice from where?
Notice came from the Department of Lands, to stop work. And then we again start to engage them that, look, let us try and solve this. We gave in a lot. Can you imagine, even before we started the project, we were stopped that, look, there's areas on land rent. The land was one time taken by Yaya Jammeh, which the areas were supposed to be paid by him. He said, no, if that is not paid, the work will not go on. So I compromised. I said, you know what? Okay, let's take liability, and then over time we will pay it from the project, just to get the project to go. Because I had so much commitment in wanting to do this. It was a dream to make it happen. And this is a job that would have employed over 5,000 people.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. So anyway, it was stopped, and I have often, as ministers change, and that's one of the things I find within this country, that as people change, they change, want to change the agreement. It's an agreement, and an agreement is an agreement. And nowadays, I've heard recently in social media, some people thought that, TAF will take over the land, government will lose money, whatever. Government haven't spent any money. We are the one whose money is there. Within the agreement that is signed, there are clauses that if there is a dispute, there's a way of sorting it out. And really, in the coming year, I want to engage government that let's take that route. Let's now sort out this through dispute resolution. And as we say in Wolof, say daganna, tas daganna.
So you want to settle this through
through
arbitration rather
Yes,
than...
there's a clause, there's an arbitration clause, and I am more than willing to do it. But Peter, fast track, because I've got this thing at heart. Me, I have a vision to do these things. I have moved on. In Nigeria today, the same project, I am doing it in Nigeria. Here, the Gaitaf project is 160 hectares. In Nigeria, I have been allocated 1,000 hectares.
Wow.
And in that 1,000 hectares, I am building, because I am very passionate about building an SME park, which is a huge demand for this country. If you remember, I went to see a young lady called Posh Art. Her workshop is a makeshift workshop in the middle of the street. If you remember again, they cleared the roads with all these workshops. That's what this country needs today, to build an SME park. All these people, because that creates employment. Each of these SME park that you build, and we have the means to give them some financing so they can pay and take ownership, will employ about 10, 12 people. So 10, 12 people by the 500 that we wanted to build will create 5,000 jobs directly. But the good news for us is that we've moved on. We are now doing it in Nigeria. And seeing is believing. You see my post all the time.
Absolutely.
And this is a project we negotiated less than 1 year ago. Actually, it was yesterday that we signed the MOU. Today, we have title to 1,000 hectares. We're building 20,000 houses and an SME park. So what was supposed to be in the Gambia today is in Nigeria.
Not too late, though. You plan on engaging the government soon.
Yeah, but let's settle it. Honestly, I am not getting younger, Peter. And honestly, I am tired of the fights. I want to move on.
Alex Badunyang. Greetings, Uncle Peter. Blessings to you and Mr. Njie Taf. Can you kindly ask Mr. Njie, the land allocated, we've allocated him around the airport, when is he going to develop it? Well, I suppose the answer would be when government comes back to this agreement.
But I would really ask government to take it over, find a developer, and then settle my payments, whatever I have put in there. I think let's shake hands and part. I have found it very difficult. And as I said, Peter, I'm not getting younger.
Not at all.
So I'm tired of this
Not
thing.
at all. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Uncle Taf is one of the most accessible senior entrepreneurs, and I believe young entrepreneurs like myself can learn so much from him, and Gambia can gain so much from his experience and networking in solving a housing deficit. We celebrate Taf Dabah Malik, which brings me to your next sobriquet, which I did not mention here, Youthman.
Yes.
Your work with the young.
Yes.
I mean, you do a lot with them. I mean, you have your Tafla, your leadership academy. Why have you made it almost a crusade to mold the young of this country?
Look, Peter, I think every senior citizen owe it to the next generation to be part of their development. You know, and that's the responsibility I took again around 2018 when I had turned, above 60 years of age. I thought, look, now that I am seen to be a successful entrepreneur in this country, and a country that made me, this is a country that made me as a Gambian. what do I do again? How do I give back? And there's no better way of giving back than mentoring the next generation. Because life, again, is a relay. You run your own part, pass the relay on, and then the baton, and then somebody picks and runs again. You know, so therefore, I thought the best way to do this was to formally set up a foundation and mainly
The
targeting the
argument
youth.
that
Yeah, so that's what I did. I set up a foundation. You know about the foundation, TAFCON, TAFLA, Tough Leadership Academy, Tough Startups, where we took our own money, a lot of money, and not invested to these young ones for a return, but to give it to them as a grant. We gave it to them, and some of them have been very successful. So that's the reason why I'm doing it. And honestly, I feel very young at heart. I feel I am 18. As you can see me jumping up and down every day. I owe it to these young ones. It's an obligation. I'm not doing them a favor.
How did you succeed in getting their attention? Because for me, that's the biggest challenge with these young people. It's really difficult to pin them down at one place, you know, for even a short period of time. I mean, I get these young people from Maja coming here, you know, initially with so much enthusiasm, I'm even scared. But give them 1 or 2 days, they disappear.
You know, Peter, there's one thing about me. I don't give up on anything in life. That's not part of my DNA. I'm very, very persistent in anything that I do.
So you would chase after those who
yes,
show
I have
up,
time for them.
disappear,
But the thing is also, I face them and tell them the truth, the hard truth. For example, I was in Faraba Banta campus to give a lecture.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes,
from
absolutely,
Father
absolutely.
Jaju. Excellent one.
Thank you for doing that.
Excellent one. I love it. I love it when I went there. But I looked at them and said, you guys, what are you complaining? You are privileged. Right into their eyes. And they listen. Can you imagine, Peter? The place was colder than this room. They had 2 built-in split units. The classroom that they were sitting in is as good as Harvard University lecture room. So, and they don't know how privileged they are.
They don't know, that's why.
So with them, we have very honest discussions. Some at times, you know, they hit me hard on social media. I post something, you know, I don't respond back to certain things. You know, they hit me at times, but I take it. And then at times when I have the opportunity, I tell them. And there's a basic way of something we need to adopt in life. That everybody has an opinion. We're not infallible. You know, so therefore, we must accept our mistakes. We must accept our shortcomings and be very honest in our dealings. And that's how I handle the youth. I look at them right in the eyes at times, tell them something that you will not tell them.
Yeah, but you know, you run the risk of them, you know, disappearing, never to come back.
Yeah, but that's life. You never get it all. You know, for example, when we open up a session on Leadership Academy, we have about 500 applicants. By the time we graduate 200 and something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fine. When you sit an exam, you don't get 100%. So even 50% is a pass. So if I target 500 youth, you know, on my program and get 200, that's not bad. You know, it adds on.
Trying to get my phone to work. It's blinking.
Okay.
But Jagana coming through with, I suppose he says, great interview. Yeah, we'll get it to work. This phone is about 7 years old.
You need to change it, man.
Yes.
You need to go into S24.
I can't afford it. I can't afford it. You know, if I get an S24 and I lose it, you know, where would I get it? Somebody, you know. This is a true story.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me an iPhone Pro 15. I looked at it and said, if I become addicted to this,
yes,
and one day it falls and breaks, where will I get the money to replace it? Luckily, my daughter was around, so I mean, she's the one using it now. You know, Therese. I'm trying to open your whatever. For some reason, it's not cooperating. Okay, so I'll go back to the SMS. Can you please ask TAF if would like to enter into other business? Example, I'm a fisherman, and it is very rare to see Gambians into business.
Well,
I suppose this is like a venture. You know, I've been a capitalist. Where you see somebody in an area and you invest in them.
No, we don't. We don't as a matter of principle. And that's why we set up the tough startups. We give them grants. And you have to compete for it. Out of my social media presence, most of the things I get is assistance. People send me, oh, please, I am a widow or
Yes.
I am a single parent.
Yes.
Thousands of them. But I cannot solve everybody's problem. So therefore, we have very limited resources, like everywhere else, everybody else, and you must compete for it. And again, talking to the young ones, they must learn to compete. Recently, I will tell you this, and very interesting. I launched, well, not launched really. I am doing a program for the young, Tough the Builder. I'm having a day for kids, like my grandkids, between the ages of 6 and 12. And what I asked for was a simple thing. That look, how many of my grandkids were mentioned in Tough the Builder?
Tough the Builder is a book.
It's a book.
An
It's my first
illustrated.
book that I wrote. Okay? So, and Peter, as I talk to you today, there are probably close to 50 responses. There's hardly 2 who responded properly. Simple.
Seriously?
I'm telling you. Seriously. You will have an elder say, oh, I want to be part of it. So many respondents will come. Oh, I have a child, I would like him to be part of it. So one of the things that we find what I find in this country, and we must improve it, the attention, people's attention on reading. We've lost it. Simple text. Somebody said something to me very interesting. He said, if you want to hide the facts from Gambians, just write it down. They will not read.
Exactly.
I think that's a vague thing.
Put it in the form of a book.
Yes, not on a book even
Yeah.
a sentence.
All right.
It's difficult.
Contribution from Abdullah Abu Aisha Jallo, writes in very frequently from Sweden. Good morning, Peter. Tell Tough that we are proud of him for putting our name across the continent. The way our lands are being allocated is worrying to some extent, and with time, it wouldn't be affordable to most considering our income. My question to him is, if you were to sit with the Minister of Lands, with the Directors of Physical Planning and Lands and Surveys, what would be his main advice to them regarding our current land usage? How can they ensure our lands are efficiently utilized and in a manner that a few people don't abuse it? Also, the cost of rent is skyrocketing, which is another worrying thing for the citizens. How does he think we can remedy this too?
Tell him that yesterday this time I was sitting with the Minister of Lands, his permanent secretary, and the whole management, 15 of them.
Wow.
And this is something I do consistently. I engage, I dialogue, all the way to the executive.
So you initiated this meeting?
Actually, I will tell you to Minister Bass' credit. He has now adopted.
Hamangan Kumbaba.
Yeah. I tell you to his credit, although what he has now initiated is that if you have a stakeholder that has a problem, every Monday he has a meeting with his staff at 10:30, and he will call you in. And this is the second time he's invited me.
Ah, interesting.
Yes, he called me in, and when I was going, I met there also a top lawyer who was invited. So he sits there as the chair, and all the directors are there, all the staff, and the permanent secretary and an advisor also. So, and then, yes, handle the issue.
Sure.
So I have 2 issues there. You remember I launched the unlocking a plot of land for every Gambian, and that will come into his concern. And so it's a bit delayed, and I am worried. Plus a title for Tough City. So, and yes, Hamad, the way he behaves, he shouts and jumps, and he's promised that, look, within the next week, he wants it to happen. So honestly, and I would really like to give him this compliment, to his compliment, that yes, that's the way he manages it. If you go there, maybe if you want to do Kennedy School of Public Administration, whatever, that's another thing. But in his own way, he does it directly, very open. You go there. So yes, I met them yesterday. Now, the issue of handling the land. Land is very limited in this country, and it's one of our biggest challenges as a country. Facts. Gambia is the 5th most densely populated country in Africa.
Oh, wow.
5th, number 5. Places like Senegal are around number 12, number 13, going to 15. So honestly, after Mauritius, Rwanda, and all these places, we are highly densely populated. So it's about 200 and something people per inhabitants per square kilometer or so. Very, very high. So there is the need to manage our land. All this land crisis you hear, all this thing, if you go to the courts today, most of the cases are on land matters.
Yes, true.
It's not by accident. The demand is high. People are more prosperous, so they have now disposable income is more, and everybody knows the value of land. So for Tough Africa Global, what we have done recently, we buy land, we don't get allocated land, and we've been land banking. We were land banking all the way to Faraba. But I decided that, look, rather than bank this land, we also have a social responsibility. That's why corporations like us have a corporate social responsibility. And if I go on social media, most of the times, Gambians at a certain level will say, oh no, your houses are too expensive. And we must listen at our level. So what I've done now, I am now releasing these parcels of land. Our plots are now being about 250 square meters, 10 by 25. And then what we do, they're as low as $200,000. We know that public servants cannot afford it to pay cash. Nobody buys land cash. So what we've done is, because we've paid for it for a very long time, we've now asked them to pay 10%, which is $20,000. And the rest is paid over 3 years and 5 years. And it was sold out within 24 hours.
Oh.
One of them in Faraba. Within 24 hours. So it shows that there's a demand. But this was based on a study that we did. Now, the reason why I went to the Ministry of Local Government of Lands, there is a law that says that if you have a parcel of land over 5 hectares, you need to forfeit 50%. So I have engaged them and said, look, what I am doing now, I am assisting government. Government should have been the ones who should provide this land. I have bought it already. But I now want to lend it to or leash it to the citizens without putting much profit on it. So please give me a waiver. So now they've agreed that no, we're not going to give you a waiver, but we will give you some
tax break.
Not a tax break. Oh. Instead of taking maybe 50%, we'll give you a percentage. There's a decision to come up pretty soon. So again, lesson to learn. I think those of us in the private sector must learn to engage government. And that's what I do very well. I engage all the way to the executive. If I have something of concern, I find an appointment, sit down with them like the way I sit with you and tell them, yes, I'm sorry, sir, but X, Y, and Z is my concern. And I listen to them.
So what kind of housing does TAF provide, for these civil servants who are struggling? Low-cost housing, affordable housing? Because, I hear people say, well, yeah, the terminologies need to be watched.
Yes, there's nothing like low cost anymore. I mean, it's not even said. In the international forums, they change terminologies. So the issue of low cost housing that was, some decades ago, nobody says it anymore. What they say is affordable housing. But I try to research what affordable housing is and give a definition to it. So, but where I've ended up, and most people do agree, when you talk about affordable housing, there are two ends to housing. One is the demand side and the other is the supply side. As a developer, I am on the supply side. On the demand side are the buyers and also assisted by financial institutions. Because people don't buy, they cannot buy houses cash, nowhere in the world. So you go through mortgage banks, to lend you money over a certain period, mostly up to about 25 years. So the definition of an affordable house is based on one's disposable income. And it is agreed that 30% of your earnings must be what you should pay on a mortgage. So now you work backwards. So if you are earning $1,000, you should be paying something like $330 on mortgage. So multiply that by 25 years, depending on your age. That cost. That's what should get you a house. Now, in the provision of house, I've once heard Minister Fashola, who was the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure in Nigeria. He said, look, we cannot provide affordable housing because there's no affordable building materials. And he's right. Today, if I want to buy cement, if you want to buy cement to build a story building, a 10-story building, the same price of cement that you buy is the same price of cement I buy for what you call affordable housing. So really, it is based on one's one's disposable income. That's the way you determine an affordable house. Now, moving on, research has shown, and we are in that process, that look, some initiatives do help in making housing affordable. For example, government to provide the land, because once I buy the land, it's part of my cost. So in other countries like Nigeria and Sierra Leone, government provides the land. In Sierra Leone, they give me incentives. I have a tax break for 5 years. All imported materials are tax-free. In Nigeria, because I'm dealing with a state, they cannot do that because taxes are controlled by federal. But, every local tax is taken off. Now, again, housing is social and it's also...
What do you get from the Gambia government?
I haven't even signed up for a project, so how can I get anything? Here you cannot. And I can understand. They're struggling with their budget in collecting revenue. So how can they give you incentives? That's well understood. And I don't even ask for it. For example, an initiative I have launched with Tough City. Tough City, as you know, it's twice bigger than Banjul. Very futuristic. But I have not even made the attempt to ask for any incentive. Because I know that, look, they're struggling on revenue. And now, moving on how to provide affordable housing. And the different, I was on tradition and social. For example, in Nigeria, we're selling carcasses, what they call carcass, an unfinished house. We put a roof, build it up, bring the infrastructure, and in dollar terms, it's costing about $18,000.
Wow.
Now, in the Gambia, even if we finish it up, in Nigeria, it's about $40,000. Finished, a complete finished house, same house that we build here and we build in Sierra Leone. Here, it is about twice the price. It's about $80,000. You know why?
No.
Okay. Sales tax, for example, in Nigeria, VAT is 7.5%. And VAT is on everything that gets imported. In Gambia, it's 15%. It's double.
Twice, yes.
It is twice. Same thing in Sierra Leone. Now, these guys are cultured in buying carcasses. One thing that we must look into this country, people don't want to change. The thing is, once you buy a carcass, you can take your time and finish it yourself. But they would, man, and you cannot afford it. So that's what we do in Nigeria. Nigeria, the value of the naira is also down. So that helps, and it's naira denominated. So different countries, different challenges. The numbers are in Nigeria. So those are few of the challenges, but great opportunities also where the population is.
Good morning, Peter and Taf. Great interview. Youth should listen to Taf and try to emulate him. He was made in the Gambia, a high school graduate, never went to Europe or the US to make it. The youth should know that they can make it here. Judufi, tekifi. I am sure it's a mantra you repeat in the ears of the young people you interact with. Who can you remember, or how many of them have you convinced who had ideas of, emigrating, moving out of this country, who stayed because they listened to your story? That I came from very humble beginnings to make it where I am through effort and determination.
Let me tell you one of my biggest success story, who's like my brother, my friend, and a Talube like myself. We have so many much in common. Amadou Jigo started with us as an intern from GTTI, as an intern. I need to tell you who Jigo is today.
Yes, I mean,
great success story.
His latest project is the Independent Stadium.
Yes. He went to GTTI. Actually, I think one time he was the chairman of the board of GTTI. Great success story. And these stories must be told. He started with us as an intern. If I go back, Ibrahim Njie, who was the commissioner of works for ECOWAS, he was a carpenter when I was at the Trust Bank building, together with Samba Sey and one guy, Jallo, 3 of them. They were the guys who did City and Guilds. Excellent carpenters. He ended up being an architect and an engineer, and he was the commissioner of works for ECOWAS. Great success story. And there are many more. So the formula cannot change. The road to success is hard work, honesty, and discipline.
Absolutely.
And loads of opportunities in this country. Yes, it's tough. I mean, tougher than before because of the population is bigger. Probably opportunities are smaller. But again, if you follow the tradition of, the basic principles of hard work, you will likely make it.
Hi, Uncle Peter. I can categorically remember Njie in a gathering said that Njie had to apologize to Mr. Mustapha Njie's family for putting him on the sleepless nights in order to complete the AU project against a time limit. This statement was uttered by Njie upon the successful completion of the AU project. I suppose it's just
yes.
buttressing-
It's true.
buttressing
But
what
I mean, a bit of Njie.
Yeah.
People also have some misconstrued about my relationship with Njie. Looking back, really, Njie, my relationship with him was a relationship of ice and fire. I just tried to manage him. One thing that I never wanted to be too close to him. And I'll tell the young ones who are listening that, in government, when you're working with government, especially our governments of today, you should treat it like the fireplace during winter. When it's cold,
Yes.
you need the fireplace.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but you need to position yourself in a position where you will be warm enough, but don't get too close.
Yes.
If you put your hands on the fire, you get burnt.
Burnt,
And that's
absolutely.
what I utilized whilst Njie was here. And that's the way I work with every government. Me, I don't want government deals. I don't look for government favors. Because a time will come when the records will come out. And I don't want to be on one side. So Njie really, he knew who I was. He knew that I can deliver. He knew my principles. And he will call upon me when he needed something done. And really, I must give him honor on certain things that he has done.
certain things
In
like
2006,
yes.
Njie had to wait for me. I was in Cameroon. And then obviously the chief of protocol, who is Alaji Sisi, said, look, the president wants to go with you to the US. You are part of his delegation on Corporate Council for Africa. He was going, a lot of heads of states were going. So I was landing some 3 hours before his schedule. Honestly, he delayed his trip about 3 hours, his takeoff, just to make sure he took me. And I remember on board that flight, Late Life Fish and myself were the only people from the private sector who joined his flight. We landed in Kennedy Air Base or something like that. Now, above all, when he met the Secretary of State for Urban or whatever for the US, he was supposed to respond. Njie just turned to me, and it was unexpected that, look, we have a member of the private sector here, and let him respond. Can you imagine? I was unprepared.
Yeah, well,
But again, we have been brought up, that look, if you work together with somebody, of that status, you have to give honor to him.
Yeah.
And I surely did that, So he has his own good ways of doing things. Now, the other side of him, which is the fire, are his human rights. That is not accepted. The Commission has revealed some of the atrocities that were committed, and that is not acceptable. So no matter whatever good things that he has done, honestly, the human rights side of it wiped it off.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Uncle Taff is a great senior citizen. He is my former boss, and he has always been an inspiration to me and other young entrepreneurs. I look forward to be as successful as he is. This is from Pamodu Seka, who signs of Goodal Fun, Uncle Taff.
Oh, that's Pamodu, yeah. Pamodu, yeah, great guy, yeah.
Another one coming here. Hi, Taff, it's great. What and how did Mustapha Bitey inspire you? And this is from Ibrahim Cham.
Listen, I mean, look, in every part of life, you have people who...
Who is Mustapha Bitey?
Mustapha Bitey was an old contractor, so I was going to come there.
Okay.
And there's a time for everything. And that's one thing that you need to understand about succession. In this country, the first contractors, Gambian contractors, were people like Mustapha Bitey, people like late Alaji Ablai Samba.
Is he the one behind the Bakota Housing Estate?
No. Bakota Housing Estate was a grant from the Scandinavians. Okay. But they were this old guard who were really the first contractors who came in. Alaji Ablai Samba, that's Amadou Samba's father. Alaji Mustapha Bitey, Alaji Dudu Sen, Pill Street. They were contractors who worked at PWD, then came to Yom Salam Job and others. That's the youngest, those who went to England and came back. So they played their role. Papa Njie, you remember Papa Njie Latri Kunda.
Yeah.
But we are those who first came in with a much more modern knowledge in construction. And we have a time. And I am coming to the end of my career. That's naturally what happens. And there will be great guys to come up. For example, in the field of real estate development. I mean, I am the pioneer. I started this in this country. But I pray and wish, and it is happening. You're going to have younger ones who's going to come in with technology today, with modern tools that they're going to use. So in the next few years to come, they will look back at the way I have been building and say, what the hell was he doing with this? We must give honor to my sering. When I talk about these things, I mention him, Alaji Hatib Jane. Alaji Hatib Jane was a big mentor and a big role model. And I went back to him, and I'll tell you a story about him today. We need to go back to history. Hatib Jane invented the 40 by 40 steel trusses that you see in this country today. He wasn't an engineer. He's an economist. Daddy Usman is still alive, his brother, an architect. But he argued with them. And you know what Hatib used to say? Mune mbahana, do this. And mbahana meaning the roof, a hat.
Yes.
Shouldn't be heavy.
Yeah.
So he used those hollow pipes. These hollow pipes you see today was invented by Hatib Jane. You remember Jimpex?
Yes.
With all his windows that he did, you know, a great entrepreneur. And somebody who was a public servant, served in 1965, he was the cabinet secretary. You know, so really, he's somebody I learned a lot from as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's very outspoken also, who stood his ground on a lot of things. I mean, again, those are the, you know, we need to mention people, you know, who's really done great things like this. Peter, let me tell you, you remember, and I'll just jump into this very quickly. When we had Tahawal Banjul,
Yes.
you know why I co-opted you?
No.
Hatib Jane told me that gourmet. You know, remember we were trying to get every section of Banjulians to come in.
But I wasn't alone.
Yeah, but hold on. So what I used to do on all these things, and I still do, and I advise the young ones, always look up to a mentor, somebody that you converge with, somebody who will just not sing your praises. So I always have that. And I always look at people who are elderly, and late Hatib was one of them. Anything that I want to get into, I'll call him in, you know, even his family do know this. We'll go to Ngala Lodge, down by the beach, have our afternoon tea, and I will throw it to him and really meticulously listen to him. So whilst we were structuring Tahawal Banjul, and the reason why it was successful, I consulted with everybody. So consulting with him, he said, yeah, that's a good idea. But I haven't had a gourmet. He said, hanga for food, very gourmet. So get a gourmet and put it in the executive. And that was why I went for you. So that was a secret. We need to tell these stories.
Yeah. Well,
it came from Hatib.
And Tahawal Banjul leads us now to talk about politics, because Tahawal Banjul was meant to select from all the Banjul candidates who wanted to, you know, represent the city, the three constituencies in the city, to select the best.
Yes.
And I think it was a laudable project.
Yes.
It was really
and you were part of
it. It was a laudable project. And there's a lot of talk about Taf's political ambitions. Yes, he's been very successful. Yes, he's got a lot of money, but Taf Doilu would better. Taf wants to run that country. Does Taf have, you know, any ambitions to be president of the Gambia?